The sun rose over Los Angeles, gleaming off the sleek, modern facade of the first American Apparel factory. Dov Charney, a man with wild hair and intense eyes, passionately stitched a t-shirt himself. He preached to his young employees about made in the USA and ethical manufacturing. The company's ads, bold and provocative, began to dominate billboards in every major city. A young, ambitious woman saw an ad for a marketing job and was drawn to the brand's rebellious energy. She aced her interview, captivated by Charney's vision for a new kind of company. On her first day, the factory buzzed with a chaotic, creative energy she had never felt before. Charney often walked the floor, his presence both inspiring and strangely intimidating. He would call late-night meetings in his messy, cluttered office, filled with clothing samples. The whistleblower worked late, believing she was helping to build an empire. Soon, Charney's compliments on her work became uncomfortably personal. He began texting her late at night about non-work-related topics. The office culture felt more like a fraternity house than a professional workplace. She noticed some female colleagues would suddenly leave the company without a goodbye. During a photo shoot, Charney insisted on being overly hands-on with the young models. The whistleblower tried to focus on her successful campaigns, pushing her doubts aside. One evening, Charney cornered her in a storage room, making lewd and explicit comments. She felt a cold dread, realizing the rebel CEO was a predator. The next day, she confided in a senior female colleague, who just sighed with resignation. "That's just Dov being Dov," her colleague said, wiping a tear from her eye. She couldn't sleep, the weight of her secret crushing her every night. She started secretly documenting every inappropriate interaction in a small, black notebook. Meanwhile, Charney bragged in an interview about his unconventional management style. The whistleblower discovered other women had similar, horrifying stories to tell. They met in a quiet coffee shop, away from the prying eyes of the company. One woman revealed she felt like a sex slave, trapped by Charney's power and manipulation. With their combined courage, they decided to take their story to a lawyer. The lawyer, a stern woman in a sharp suit, listened to their story with growing anger. She explained the case would be brutal, as Charney fought all his accusers viciously. The first legal summons was delivered to American Apparel's headquarters by a courier. Charney reacted not with fear, but with furious defiance. He called an emergency meeting, blaming opportunists for trying to destroy his company. The board of directors, once silent, began to exchange worried glances. The company's stock price began a slow, steady decline on the trading floor. Reporters started camping outside the factory, shouting questions about the scandal. A bombshell article detailing the allegations was splashed across a major newspaper. Charney, enraged, called the whistleblower directly to intimidate her into silence. Her lawyer advised her to record all future communications, placing a recorder on the table. In the factory, workers whispered in small groups, worried about their jobs and their safety. The board convened a secret meeting in a sterile, windowless conference room without Charney. They reviewed a private investigator dossier filled with damning evidence and photos. "The brand is becoming toxic," the lead board member stated, pushing the dossier away. Charney, desperate, launched a counter-campaign portraying himself as the victim. He claimed he was being ousted by a corporate coup for his creative genius. The whistleblower watched the news report of his suspension with a sense of grim relief. Furious, Charney barricaded himself inside his office, refusing to surrender his keycard. He was finally escorted from the building by security, his face a mask of pure rage. The glass doors of American Apparel closed behind him for the final time. The whistleblower finally allowed herself to cry, the weight of the battle lifting. But the victory fell hollow as a mountain of legal depositions and trials awaited. In the courtroom, Charney stared her down with the same intimidating intensity. Her voice, however, did not waver as she read her victim impact statement aloud. She described the deep psychological trauma and the loss of her career passion. The judge listened intently, his eyes moving from her to the unrepentant Charney. After a grueling year, the court finally ruled in favor of the whistleblower and the other women. Charney was ordered to pay a multi-million-dollar settlement for his actions. Outside the courthouse, she stood with the other survivors, finally feeling free. The American Apparel brand, however, was forever tarnished and soon filed for bankruptcy. The factory's lights were turned off, and the humming machines fell silent for good. The whistleblower visited the empty lot where the factory once stood, saying a quiet goodbye. She had started her own small, truly ethical consulting firm on her own terms. She became a silent advocate for workplace ethics, mentoring other young women. Dov Charney attempted several new ventures, but his reputation always preceded him. The story became a cautionary tale in business schools about power and accountability. The whistleblower looked at her old, hidden notebook, now a relic of a painful past. She had not just won a case. She had reclaimed her voice and her future.